Hello, this is Pastor Joel at Chico First. And hey, I wanted to just start off today by saying a big thank you to everyone who helped serve and volunteer at Chico First during our Easter weekend. We had an incredible weekend with Good Friday and Easter Sunday and our picnic, so thank you all for serving. Now, let me just read to you from Psalm 62 today. And it says in verse 1, "For God alone my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be greatly shaken." And then in verse 5, "For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from you. He only is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be shaken. On God rests my salvation and my glory. My mighty rock, my refuge is God. Trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us." Now, life is filled with ups and downs, good times and hard and difficult times. But sometimes the hardest place to be is in between those. We do well when things are going well in our lives. We can fight through the hard times and the painful times. But when we are in those in-between times, we just don't know how to react. We don't know what to do. Maybe you're waiting for the doctor to call you with some test results. Or maybe you're waiting for God to open up a new opportunity for you. When change doesn't happen as quickly as we think it should, we start to wonder and think if the world is conspiring against us, if something is going wrong in our lives. See, when David wrote Psalm 62, he was under attack from his enemies. And as tempting as it might have been to take matters into his own hands, what David did is he chose to wait on God. Let me just read verses 1 and 2 of Psalm 62 again. It says, "For God alone my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be greatly shaken." You see, the safest place for us to be when we feel like we are under siege is waiting with God. He has all of the power. He is in control. He's sovereign. And when we choose to wait with God and wait on God, rather than going at all of these things on our own, we experience God's power and his presence like maybe we've never before experienced it. Few seasons of life draw our hearts closer to God than when we're waiting on him. Our ears are more alert to God's voice when we're desperate to hear from him. Our eyes are quicker to recognize his power and provision when we've been looking for him to move in our lives. You see, when we pour out our hearts to God and we wait for him to make the way in our lives or a way in our lives, we will see him do what only he can do. And we learn to trust in him more through those situations. You see, we can put our trust in all sorts of kind of places. We can do it in money, in our own wit and mind, in our own abilities, and in other things and people. But nowhere is it safer than when we are with God who has made everything, who knows everything, and he can restore anything. So let me just ask you some questions here. How do you react when things don't go your way? What is one thing you're waiting on God for right now in your life? And what is one step you can take to build your faith in this season of waiting? As Tom Petty said, the waiting is the hardest part. And maybe you're in that waiting moment and period in your life. And what we need to do is just lean in and trust God and seek God and pray and read our word. And we can go forth loving him and loving the people around us. God is with you. Trust him in the waiting. He loves you. He's never going to abandon you or leave you. And so I'm praying for you. Trust in Him, and we'll see you soon. God bless.